Hello, Shellie Hansen here. Going to give my APE presentation. I'm happy to present today the things that I did, the things that I accomplished, and the things that I learned. So let's jump right in. So again, my purpose today, I mainly have two objectives. I want to show the work products that I completed in my APE, and show the things that I learned. So I was able to do my APE at Ephrata School District in Ephrata, Washington, which is in Eastern Washington. Um, we have about 2,800 students total for pre-K through 12. We have 6 campuses. Normally in my position, I'm one of the school nurses there. I cover the intermediate school, which is 5th, 6th, and the middle school, which is 7th, 8th. So I have about 900 students, 10 to 14-year-olds. They're a lot of fun. So I've been with them 6 years. My site supervisor is Pam Cleveringa, Nurse Pam, as she's affectionately called. She's the lead of our department for health. So she's over health services. So she is the one who agreed to supervise me. The main roles that I completed, the things that we had talked about that we felt like our department really needed, was to revamp our immunization compliance process, and also to create a stock, or an undesignated is the technical term, but we call it our stock epinephrine policy and procedure, along with a training program for our staff. So the major work accomplishments I'm going to share today is that anaphylaxis response plan, along with the policy, the procedure, and those training materials, and then show a little bit about what I did to standardize our immunization compliance process. So first, I'm going to show you our proposed policy and procedure changes for stock epinephrine. So it's interesting, we actually just had our anaphylaxis response policy and procedure updated back in, I want to say it was maybe February or March. And at the time, there was the option to have stock epinephrine, but we did not have the supplies. We didn't have the training stuff ready. We just didn't quite have our ducks in a row yet. So we held off on adding it. So the new policy procedure got updated, got approved. And so part of my task was reaching back out to administration and the school board and explaining, hey, we know we just did this a few months ago, but we are now getting ready to actually bring stock epinephrine to our school district. So we are going to bring that policy and procedure before the school board again. So I created the drafts of both the policy and the procedure, got us on the school board agenda. And on July 28th, we had our first reading with the school board, and then they'll do a second reading at the August meeting, which will be on the 25th. And so far, so good. People were really excited about it. So I do anticipate that on August 25th, it will become policy and procedure, which is a couple days before school starts. So good timing. So I connected this to the competency C16, which is principles of leadership, governance and management, creating a vision, empowering others, fostering collaboration, and guiding decision-making. I felt like the policy and procedure piece really kind of hit all those points. I was able to raise awareness, give education, answer questions to the school board, and to our superintendent, our assistant superintendent, about why we wanted to do this, how we felt it would increase safety for our school community. So this is just kind of to show a little more on that overall project. So some of the staff training I put together, including the video. I will not play the video now because I tend to get wordy anyway. I don't need to have you watch another 4 minutes of me, but you are, of course, are more than welcome to go click on it, go check it out. Now I'll just show you real quick. Oh, well, it's not working for me anyway. So if you have any problems accessing it, let me know. It did work when I did my run through. So work product number 2 is the SOP, as we call it, the standard operating procedure that I wrote for our immunization compliance process. So to give you a little bit of a background on this, I want to say it was like maybe 21, 22, in the heat of COVID. We had always been taking our students' immunization records and putting them into Skyward, which is, the student software that the school uses for everything. So we would take those records, put it into Skyward to help us see if they were compliant. But a few years ago, we started using what's called School Module, which is part of the Washington Immunization Information System. So let's say someone goes and gets their immunizations at the clinic, that gets put into the state database. School Module allows schools and school nurses to access that. So we signed up for that, and we were just so understaffed and so chaotic. During COVID, we actually opened a community testing site that us school nurses ran for the community. Again, we're kind of a more rural area. We don't have a walk-in clinic here, and our ER was obviously very overwhelmed. So we were kind of in the throes of that. And yes, we knew we had signed up, but no one had ever really learned the whole process and found a way that we would implement this in our real world work at the district. So that was part of what I did here. The competency is C9, design a population-based policy, program, project, or intervention. I feel like this probably falls more into project, maybe program. But I did put it all into an operating procedure, with pictures of how you actually work the system. So that will be utilized by the nurses throughout the school district. And then we do have some, secretaries and support staff that help us as well. So they'll also be using that. So just kind of show a little more. This is kind of where we started at when I started doing my APE. You can really see in those older schools, the high school, the middle school, our compliance was a lot better, and then a lot worse with the newer ones, just because we have just not been able to stay on top of a lot of our immunization work. We met with our local health jurisdiction back in January, and I told them, hey, I'm going to probably make this part of my master's practicum. And so it has been exciting to see our numbers start to improve. And I think our local health jurisdiction will appreciate that as well, as we're bringing more protection into our community. So the activities, the inputs, the people. So my main partnerships were with the health services team, and then with school administration, including our assistant superintendent. He's over health and safety, the school board, and then most of my communications weren't necessarily directly with the superintendent, but with his administrative assistant, our district administrative assistant, Kathy. She's amazing. Some of the resources that I utilized, again, are the WAIIS. So that's that state database for vaccination immunization tracking. I did meet with nurses in other districts within the NCESD is our regional educational service district. So I did meet with some other nurses, kind of found out procedures and processes that they were using. Using the state standing order for undesignated or stock epinephrine. Just as a side note, I am on the School Nurse of Washington Legislative Committee. So I actually was part of the committee that helped get stock epinephrine approved through legislation. So it's exciting to see it come to fruition at our school district, because it's something I'm actually really passionate about. I used the EpiPen for Schools program and the Nephi in Schools program. So the EpiPen for Schools got us our auto injectors, and the Nephi in Schools is intranasal epinephrine. And then we do have a contracted migrant nurse through the ESD, through the NCESD. It's confusing because ESD is Ephrata School District, and then NCESD is our bigger district. So I'll say NCESD from here on out for the bigger, broader one. So the Ephrata School District has a contracted migrant nurse through the migrant program at the NCESD. She's new to us this past school year, and this immunization opportunity really was a good way for us to kind of build a bridge with her, because we're getting there, but a lot of times she's been like, how can I help you? And I think for us, we've been so used to doing our own work, even within the migrant program. But I reached out to her about immunizations, and we were like, yeah, she's like, refer me these families. And, so it's kind of helped. She's been a help to me, and then I've been a help to her as well. So for my supervision, again, there's Nurse Pam, my mentor generally, and my site supervisor for my APE. And then Aaron Cummings is our assistant superintendent, and he's the one that helped actually get it approved for me to do my APE and do that partnership with Eastern and Ephrata School District. So giving him some cred too. For development for the immunization compliance, I really worked with mainly the school nurse team there. We knew it was something we needed to do. We'd had a previous time and staffing shortage, and it's needed to get done. And then for the stock EPI program, again, I was on that committee. And then after it actually got approved through legislation, there was a delay in school districts actually being able to get the supplies. I think those programs, the NEFI in schools is actually very new, but EpiPen for schools has been around for quite a while. I think they were pretty overwhelmed because more and more states are starting to have standing orders for school districts. So it was kind of slow. So our nurse manager through the NCESD, she's like, people are having a hard time. So we kind of waited anyway because we didn't have the time to put into it yet. We hired a new nurse this year, getting her trained. Anyway, so timing lined up. I talked with some of the other nurses in the region, and they said, no, we're able to get our supplies now. So I was like, okay, I'm jumping on it. We're going to do this. So for implementation, for the immunizations, I had to learn how to use the school module of WAIIS. I went back through all of our student records because really since COVID, we've not done an audit and updated everything. So I did that for all the schools, made sure I had parental consent to update that. And when I didn't, I reached out to families, explained what it was. Once families understood, oh, you're just putting stuff into the database, that's fine. And then we actually changed our wording as to how we obtain that consent because I was realizing people were just feeling concerned because, they do it when they do their annual registration or annual update for their student. There's a health section, where we ask, does your student have any medical conditions? And then there's a question in there that asks if we can have consent to add immunization info. And I think just the community I live in, the political atmosphere, people get a little bit nervous, hesitant if they think something's going to the government. Even though it is a public school. But once I actually spoke with the families, almost all of them were like, oh yeah, that's totally fine. They said, I just didn't know what it was, so I marked no. So we did change the way that we asked that question for this upcoming school year, and I'm interested to see if that's helpful. So I did create that standard operating procedure, and like I talked about, collaborated with our migrant program nurse, Daisy, and made a new TDAP notification letter, which is just one of the annual reminders we send out to families. For the stock EPI program, I used our state standing order. I joined those 2 pharmaceutical company programs. I drafted that policy and procedure, and I've created the staff training and materials. Not a ton of modifications. We did change our data tracking. We were doing it per student originally, who's compliant. And we noticed we were putting a lot of immunizations in, but the student would still be out of compliance because, say maybe they needed 3 or 4 vaccines. They had 2 of them. So we are actually getting per vaccine, per disease, per infection, we are making progress, but it wasn't necessarily showing in our numbers per student. So as we talked, we kind of actually went through and we're like, oh, okay, we are making progress, because it felt a little discouraging at first because I was putting in hours and hours of updating all this info. But it just goes to show we still have a lot of work to do. And now with our operating procedure, we can make it work. For evaluation on that piece, we're using our reports and audits through the WAIIS. The only modification in the stock EPI program was a date change for the school board agenda. They wanted to wait until fall, and we really advocated, hey, we'd love to have this up and running by the 2025-2026 school year. So we were able to get onto the agenda sooner. And then evaluation for that will be, feedback from our staff. And then we, of course, do incident reporting with Department of Health. So our outputs, we'd love to see improved immunization compliance rates and that standard operating procedure. And for stock epinephrine, we have the new district policy and procedure and training procedures, and improved safety for our staff, our students, and really it's for any individual that is at a school activity or on school grounds. So really we could use it for the public too. We could give them epinephrine if needed. So our major expected outcome is improved school safety. So we're going to have increased protection from diseases, one for that individual student, but also decreased risk of school outbreaks for the broader school community. And also when we start doing our school exclusions, so something we used to do that we're bringing back is when students remain out of compliance after we've met with the family, tried to get them in compliance, those students are excluded from school. So if we can get more students compliant, there's going to be decreased attendance issues, which for me, I really want those students in school. A lot of times it's students that are up against a lot of barriers otherwise, and so school is a great benefit to them. We want to see increased awareness, safety, and health outcomes if there is a life-threatening allergic reaction that happens at school. And then we wanted to see improved partnerships and collaborations with our migrant nurses. And I'm feeling pretty good about those outcomes. So I'm going to kind of cruise through these because I'm already at over 16 minutes. Like I said, I can get to talking. These are the competencies, and I'll jump into each one here. So C7, it says population needs, assets, and capacities that affect communities' health. So again, these are those initial immunization compliance charts, just kind of to see where we were at as a school district. This is the applications I did for the stock epinephrine program applications. I have all of these linked in the appendix as well. So kind of just cruising through here. C9 was design a population-based policy program, project, or intervention, which really I did two, which is the standard operating procedure and then the stock EPI policy and procedure and staff training. C16 applied principles of leadership, governance, and management, which include creating a vision, empowering others, fostering collaboration, and guiding decision-making. So again, kind of talked already about this, but the proposed policy and procedure that went to the school board, and then there we actually are on the school board agenda. If you click on that one in the appendix, it's pretty lengthy. I don't even recall, it's like 150 pages because it's their whole agenda and they were approving their budget and all that. But if you dig through, you can find that draft policy and procedure that had its first reading. C18 is select communication strategies for different audiences and sectors. So a lot of the work I do is face-to-face, honestly. It's with students, it's with families, it's with staff. But I also do a lot of written communications, be it letters, email notifications. So I do have the email notification to school staff about our stock EPI program. And then I was able to work with our communications director at the school district and got all of our immunization resource pages up to date on the school website. So I've included the link to the student health services. And then if you click through, you can hit immunization, see some of it, and then you can go to the next page, which is forms, which has useful things that families can take to their medical providers. C19, communicate audience appropriate public health content, both in writing and through oral presentations. So for writing, that new TDAP notification letter in both English and Spanish, and then the stock epinephrine training video for school staff. So reflection and conclusion. So skills in a practical environment. I think one of the biggest things for me as I was doing my APE is it was a very, end of the school year, start of the school year and end of the school year are very busy times for school nurses. The start of school year, we're getting medical orders, we're getting those vaccines up to date. We're making daily schedules with our students that have, maybe diabetes or other medical conditions that need daily monitoring. And then into the spring, you're doing all the fun stuff. So as I was doing this, we were having multiple field trips, or delegating meds to staff, all kinds of after school activities. So I was doing my APE at a very busy time of the year. So I definitely had to be adaptable, reprioritize a lot, and have ongoing communication with Nurse Pam and with the rest of the health services care team. For knowledge, skills, and abilities, I really feel like my technology and design skills have gotten better through this process. I know how to use school module of the WAIIS now, and just better public health promotion. I find myself, through the APE and really from the program in general, just being more aware of, we say public health in all policies, but just public health in all areas of my community and in the school district and, and within my sphere of influence, just being more aware of public health and using my voice. I'll talk a little bit more about that in my personal career goals, but networking and growth, built partnerships outside of the ESD. Even there's a neighboring school district that's, 5-6 miles away. We're going to start doing quarterly meetings with that nurse. She's the lone nurse in that district. And I went and met with her about her immunization process. And that just kind of got us talking broader. And, she needs more support. I loved hearing her ideas. So we're actually going to partner with her more, collaboration with the migrant nurse program. And then, the actually providing professional development for our school staff through that epinephrine training. Strengths and weaknesses, again, going back to that, just being more willing and open to leveraging the impact of my role as a school nurse, trying to get better at asking for and taking feedback, and then balancing multiple projects and deadlines. For my personal career goals, again, that role within the school district, not just like so many jobs, you can either just go to work, get it done, or you can, really amplify it and make it big. And that's what I want to do as a school nurse. It's not just the day-to-day things I'm doing, but how do I help build a school system that supports the health of the students and the staff that are working there and learning there every day. So I just want to use my voice more, and then potentially, I'm staying where I'm at for now, but potentially 5 to 10 years down the road, I'll be looking at, job opportunities elsewhere and maybe even outside of nursing, which is part of why I wanted a master's in public health. I love public health, and it can, if I want to move out of nursing, it opens a few more doors and avenues for me. So and I'm seeing I left that as practical environment. Refreshed my tech and writing skills. I have better knowledge of programming from, assessment all the way to my built resume and LinkedIn. Sorry, let me go back there. It threw me off that I put the wrong heading there. I have more knowledge, from assessment all the way to evaluation and program development, implementation, and all that. So, and then I built my resume back up and my LinkedIn. So here's my reference page. And when I checked again, all those links worked. My appendix, so you can see those work products closer up. And if you have any problems actually accessing any of those, please let me know. I can email them to you or get them to you another way. So thank you so much. Thank you for your support in this course. I know you were not my instructor during my APE, but you have been a great help to me in 601, and I've really appreciated it. I'm at about 24 minutes, so I've gone on long enough, but thank you for listening. Please reach out if you have any questions. Thanks so much.